So we
Watch what you say.
There was just like a lot of paper going on, but everyone got everything. So we'll do a swap if not.
Do.
Okay. Let's go,
Are
Larry.
we ready? Call this meeting to order at 5:32 on December 2nd. Roll call. I see Scott, Yasha, Owen, Candy, Yvonne, Tyler's, and we're all here. That's great.
Yes.
Um, Public comments? No, so many public comments. So we'll go to the approval of the minutes. That's in the packet. Everyone I know has gone through it very carefully. Does anyone have any additions or corrections? Hearing none, we'll have a motion to approve them.
Approved.
All right, do I have a second? All right,
Who are you picking? You have two. Who seconded?
I don't know,
We both knew.
who was first to second?
I think Candy. Whoever. I'm going with Yasha.
All
You're
right,
up next. It's okay, it's okay.
discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, likewise. Passes unanimously. Now we get to work. Work session on Parks and Trails Master Plan. Now, there's, there's two of them here. No?
Might be.
Oh, that's a packet. So who needs a master plan?
Have one to look at? Okay.
So is the one that I have when I first got this still good?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll choose it. All right,
I didn't bring it.
so somewhere in that, I guess it was on the, where was it, that you had some questions and things that we were supposed to go through.
I did, and then I talked a little bit with the city manager about what we're looking for specifically out of this. So I think I'd said in here, although I wrote this before I went on my Thanksgiving holiday break, that we typically look at master plans every 5-ish years to 10 years, depending on what kind of master plan they are, and we just take a look at projects. Do we still have projects that need to be done? Are there significant changes in the data that we have that we would think this is very, we're just no longer there? I did go through the plan pretty thoroughly, and I think that we're still pretty much on track overall. It looks like very relevant data. There's going to be little changes like population, but typically almost everything in it is still very consistent with where we are now and where we're headed. We have been operating pretty solely off the short-term project list that's been in the Parks Master Plan. And those are short-term projects for, I think it's like 1 to 5 years. And most of those have been completed, or there's some reason why we haven't completed them. And so what I think would be the best use of our time at this point is to go through the project list that's in the appendix. I did include it in the packet, so the full appendix is in the packet. But I also spent a little bit of time making a different list. Looks like this. I handed out all of it, right? That just takes off some of the information and has some comments after we as staff have gone through it. So just comments for things that have been completed or things that we're recommending be removed for various reasons. And at this point, we think that the most useful thing to do would be to do like an amendment to the park master plan rather than budgeting to a full redo. And then I'll get to what I do think we should focus on instead of doing a full park master plan. update, but we can work on a project list and get the council to adopt that as an amendment to our plan, which would update our projects. And I think that that's the most useful tool for us at this point. It will allow us to just make sure that we are identifying the future parks and trails, which is really important as we're seeing development come in. We want to have those things in our plan so that we can point to them for developers and say, there's a park you're developing, you have to put that park in. So that's my recommendation, is to go through this list, have a conversation about it. If we have more time and there are things in the park master plan that you'd like to touch on and identify, we can do that. And then, like I said, as I get in here, I do have sort of another project that we might look at budgeting for more facility master plan for parks. And I think that would be a good project for the park board to work on. When we get into it.
So you want to use this
Yes.
document?
So let's use this, which again is the same. Tyler doesn't have
Does it
one.
really have-
Tyler, you can work through the document that's in the packet. It's the same projects. I've just given some updated comments that I'll read out loud so that you'll know what we're talking about.
Okay.
That's good.
Same order and everything.
I felt like reading through it, it's like there's more juice to squeeze out of the current plan.
Right. Yeah, and that's what we got out of it when we looked through it. It was, yeah, some things, I did kind of an assessment of where we are. And it felt like there's some things we've definitely done, and that's great. We did that and we've moved on, but there are other things that we have more work to do, and seems like we could stick with our current plan.
One question I had, the needs assessment, which you talked about in chapter 3. I realized today it possibly came from the SCORP, which is like Oregon Department of
Right.
Environment. And they just did a new one.
Updated theirs,
Do
yeah.
you want to also maybe update to align with them for grant funding?
We might want to look at that, especially if we have projects that we think would potentially fit in with grant funding.
Yeah.
Previously had identified that the next grant that we would probably go after would be from the skate park. But there's a lot in here as we look at the whole project list, and we're about, I think I talked about this last time, but the city is facilitating a Philomath visioning for 2050 project. And that is going to be one of the discussions, is kind of those big, large, high value facilities in general that are in Philomath, including the skate park, senior centers, food banks. We're going to be talking about all of those things with the kind of stakeholders in the community. And, does the skate park come out as, let's do that right now? Does something else come out? We don't really know at this point, but that's going to be discussed with that group. It kind of depends, but we know that we just had a big grant for the Skirvin Park upgrade from Oregon State Parks and Rec, and we likely need a little bit of space between getting another really big grant. So there may be some opportunity to get some smaller grants or some planning grants and things in between for some of those smaller projects. So that might be a good idea. Yes.
So just a question on Project 2050. Will, as a park advisory board, will we be invited to that, or is it just an invitation to anybody in the community? Or is it just the city council?
It's not. It's actually not a city project. We just helped find funding for it, and we're just facilitating it happening. It's a community project, but it'll be mostly the nonprofits in town and like school district, and they'll have representatives at the table for that. There will be some community input, but they won't be at the table necessarily. Those will be mostly for the groups in town, and it's going to focus on a lot on facility needs and economic development, things like that, bringing people to the community. So yeah, more on that soon. I think it's going to kick off in January, so we're just.
I just wasn't sure if we're.
Yeah, so some of it is that if there are things that are identified here, I would like to pass those on to the council, to the park board liaison. We have a counselor who's the liaison for the park board. I'll pass that on to him, and so he
Who is
can,
that?
Spencer Irwin. So he can have some of those conversations during our strategic planning and kind of going into that almost 75th vision. Yeah.
A lot of these are on hold for the facilities master plan. Could you describe that?
Yeah, so I did have that. So it's first mentioned under city park. So in the list that we had in the packet, if you go to city park, it says develop a master plan for these projects in city park. And when we were looking at the projects, we identified that, I think it identified Skirvin Park and City Park as potentially needing master plans or benefiting from master plans. And we also identified Mary's River Park. Mary's River Park is one of the primary parks that has projects that we haven't been identifying to recommend. And the reason why is because there are these pathways and ADA access, and it seems very, no one's really sure where are those projects? What are they going to impact? What about that thing over there? So these questions come up a lot when we discuss those particular projects. So we're looking to, instead of doing a parks master plan update, we're looking at doing facility master plans for those three parks. So it'll be a plan that focuses on City Park, Mary's River Park and Natural Area, and what's the other one? Did I just space? Skirvin Park. So it would focus on all three of those and help identify projects, maybe keep some of these, maybe some of these roll over, some of them get combined. You know, when I looked at this, I saw a number of projects throughout this that why are they not together? They should be together. Like if you're going to have the cost of mobilizing someone out to do this work, we should just do all of it. We should make sure that it's cohesive. You know, and I think there's just more work to be done there for mapping what's already in those parks specifically. Yeah. So if you all want to just go through the list, like I said, I did have some comments, and would just like to get your input on whether you think these are still valuable, whether you think they should be amended, added to, combined with different things. Like I said, we can still absolutely talk about the City Park and Marys River Park and Skirvin Park projects. Just knowing that those would be really good to be talked about during that facility master planning process, so that we can really dig in on those. But comments are definitely welcome at this point.
There was a group that was getting together to plan things for the skate park.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what's happened with that?
The last I heard, they weren't successful finding someone to take over right now on kind of those efforts. I haven't heard from anyone about the skate park for
Was Rose
over a
kind of
year.
heading that up?
Rose was trying to help them find someone. She obviously was very busy with some other things. And yeah, it doesn't mean that they've gone away. It just means that right now they don't have kind of a spokesperson for their group. Yeah. Mhm. But, you know, the skate park it's one of those things in City Park where there's a lot of ideas that we have in this community, and our parks cannot hold all of them. And so there needs to be a cohesive decision-making process that goes on, right? We don't want to put a skate park over here and then say, oh, you know what, that would have been a much better place for a dog park, or it just doesn't make sense. And this is a good project list, but it's just not necessarily cohesive between those three larger parks that we have and what the needs and uses of those parks are. And it's just a good use to just kind of slow down and look at them more closely.
Though, didn't we do that last year, that we did put a lot of time and effort into finding what would be the best location for a skate park and landed on where the current one already is?
Yes,
I
we
remember
did look. Yeah.
I remember a lot of conversation about dog parks at the time too, and how those are not as simple as you would think to get set up.
Yes.
Real quick, where am I looking in here for this list that you're looking at? I have the master plan, but I don't know what section I'm supposed to.
Do you have the packet? So it would
I
either be in
have
the,
This one.
appendix of the master plan. You have an appendix in the back,
Appendix D is this one.
and you may not because it was missing from a copy that we had.
Ah,
You have it? It
I
looks
don't
like a
know.
spreadsheet.
this is a summary of funding sources.
No.
Um,
Are you
oh,
able
priority.
to?
Here I got priority short-term projects.
Uh, no.
First one's replace skate
Here.
park, pedestrian skill
Let
lighting.
let me share it,
Okay.
Tyler.
Hey, bud.
Guess while we're waiting for that, what I would like to see for Philomath is more trail and trail access. The bike trail to Corrales is nice. I use it fairly regularly. It's, you know, got some bumps in it now, but Bald Hill is not that far away, but it's really hard to safely ride a bike there without feeling like you're gonna get run over. So some trails that would help us access like those kind of areas would be really nice.
Yeah, and there are trails identified
Yeah.
in here. Beautiful trails. And I think for the trails, I think the difficulty is a lot of those are relying on future development. They're through private property. They're, it's definitely on a priority list, but it is in our parks master plan. We added this last time as Parks and Trails master plan so that it's for sure identified. But those are also often looked at as like multimodal transportation. So they're looked at as some different areas, most likely planning. So like our planning commission is definitely looking at parks and trails as part of their process as well. So that's why they were identified in here. And I have some updates on a couple of them when we get through there, but
But you mean it's the, like, someone would be wanting to put a development in Columbus and they would put in the trail too?
yes, sometimes if it's been identified, yes, like that would be conditional. Like if you were going to put in a subdivision and we've identified that a trail needs to connect point A to point B and your subdivision is there, they can put that as a condition of approval that you install that trail system essentially. Can you see that okay, Taylor? Okay. All right. So Flossie Overman Park, start with that. We have had this trash, recycling cans, and shade tree protection on our short-term priority list. I have discussed it a little bit with Public Works. It seems that there are some issues with installing some of those receptacles there. They have a lot of trash dumping issues there at Bossy Overman Park already. You're fine. So we're exploring options for that. I don't know if that project is going to happen for sure or not. I know that they have some kind of a trash receptacle there, but they've said recycling is not an option there. They already have issues just with dumping that's going on there. So we may have to modify that as we kind of look to the future. I plan to talk to Public Works about it again, just to get a refresh on where they're at with it and any kind of solutions that they may have. But it's kind of been on hold. We've had it on the list, but it's been on hold. So I can do that.
So does the green mean, what's?
Those are things that are added,
Okay.
that I've added to it. So shade trees / tree protection. I made a note to consider amending this to include a landscape refresh. I think initially the discussion was to add shade trees. We could use a few additional trees at the park, but overall, there's been quite a bit of die-off of the landscaping that was installed there initially. And really the park needs a refresh. And so I think it would be worth kind of wrapping that into a little bit more of a project, not to just be, let's put some shade trees, but let's replace the landscaping that needs to be replaced. Let's update the pathways, materials if they need updated. It is a well-used park, so it is one of those parks that you kind of have to keep up on it, where materials migrate, so that's my recommendation, is to just make that a little bit beefier of a project.
What has caused thing in landscaping to die off? And will it just happen again?
I think that initially, I know that they got a lot of donated materials. I think some of them came from like the watershed. Um, they do the plant sales, so they were like donated from the watershed plant sale. They can have a higher die off. It's they either they work or they don't. I think some of it is just that. That's what I've heard. I wasn't here when it happened. When I got here, it was kind of already happened. But I have seen pictures when the park was first put in, and it was beautiful, and things were growing. But really landscaping shrubs and things have to be replaced over time. They don't just live forever. They don't look great forever. They don't, and they just have to be replaced over time. So I think some of it is that. Yeah, we've taken a look at it and it needs an overhaul. Basically.
I've seen some odd choices of trees installed in City Park. Maybe we could work with our local tree
Yeah.
expert. Why do we have ginkgos and?
Well, ginkgos are a great tough tree.
Okay.
Yeah, I think of two things, because a lot of our work like crosses over into other places, like planning is responsible for executing a lot of the master plan. Is that, well, one, it sounds like a great volunteer opportunity. I want to sort of gauge if it's what you think, if it's more volunteers or we just try to get it done. And then the other thing is, yeah, how does this relate to like a larger canopy planning across the city? Is there like other things we should be aware of with how, tree canopy planning is going?
Well, we have a tree board and a public works committee that's made up of 3 city councilors and a couple tree board members. They primarily discuss tree canopy for city properties, even parks. So we don't discuss it to that level typically. Public Works has a certified arborist on staff. They have a tree program. So I would recommend, if you're interested in it, that you just go talk to Public Works and see. You can say, I'm on the park board, I'm curious, just ask some questions, give them a call, email them, and maybe they can give you kind of some more information. But I know they've discussed those topics on the tree board, so they might have some updates on that.
And then, sorry, this doesn't really apply to Flossie Overman, but do they extend into the natural areas like stream buffers along like Newton Creek or Mary's River Park? Okay.
Yeah.
Who wants to talk to?
Yeah, definitely. Okay. So yeah, just overall, I think the park could have some attention to have a refresh. Like I think we did that a little bit of a refresh at Triangle Park. I don't think it's finished, but it's been nice to just see it get that attention.
Especially with the new piece going in, the play structure.
Yeah, exactly. And then we have local artwork for the lift station, the building that's there in the middle of the park. We have a newly formed art committee, so my recommendation was to kind of refer that to the art committee to identify. They're going to do a public art plan, and it would be great to just identify these in the public art plan as potential locations for art, so that as they're looking, they can look to add art to those places.
What's water lift station fencing?
That's a building that's in the middle of Flossie Overman. It just looks like a little concrete building. There's a pump inside.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a nature place.
So that park is constructed mostly of, I don't know if I don't have a picture, kind of more natural play. Like it has like water pumps that you can move. Like there's sand and you can run the water down and put rocks in place. And there was a big tree there. That's something that we discussed before you were both on the board, but the tree rotted out. So we're trying to replace that with a more composite type tree that still looks kind of cool and naturey. So nature play is just typically kind of those structures that look natural and or are natural materials, so that you're kind of mimicking just playing in nature rather than like a typical park structure that you would see.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else on Flossie Overman?
That sounds good.
No? Okay. Westbrook Park. Does everyone know where Westbrook Park is? I think you told me that you're familiar with Westbrook. Is that you? Someone told me they used to have their kids play there. I don't know if that would
We're,
Like basketball.
be. Yeah, so it's up this way on the, kind of on the hill.
yeah, it's like where I live.
Okay.
By there, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so there's a couple things on there and I did make some notes again. So one of the project was to replace the play area with accessible play equipment. We saw this a lot in this master plan update where it was replace all of the city's play equipment with accessible play equipment. I'm all for accessible play equipment. We are a small community, so I think that it's best if we not just let's replace that because it's there and we want to put in accessible play structures in its place and do a better assessment. So I am going to ask to go around with the operations supervisor and assess our play equipment a little bit more closely, like what is there. Sometimes people don't know what accessible play is and inclusive play equipment is versus not. They think that it's not when they look at it, and a lot of structures actually do have inclusive play, accessible play features on them. So I think it would be just good for us to do an assessment before because you'll see it kind of throughout here. It's replace everything. We don't have the funding to replace everything. Play equipment is very expensive. So I think we want to identify the areas where we maybe need that or locations where it's, so that you have on the south side, you have something that's more of a feature like that. And Cochran Park, of course, had the fully accessible play surface that we put in. It's very, very expensive. We're not going to be able to put that in every park. We just are lucky, honestly, for a small community to have a great park like that has some of those more inclusive and accessible play features. And we did at Triangle Park put in a more accessible swing set while we were updating.
Can I give an opinion about that?
Yeah.
So it has a regular swing and then it has the big seat swing. And I just think it's a little almost inaccessible. If you had 3 swings with 2 regular swings, a couple kids can go up and swing together or a parent can swing with the child. But you've got 1 swing and then 1 accessible swing, which is, it's just hard to get in and out of. And I guess it can handle an adult. Those
Like more of a weight limit. Yeah, I don't know what the weight limit is on them.
So I don't know. My opinion is if you're going to have an accessible swing like that you have 2 regulars and then an accessible. So because it just seems, I don't know.
Yeah, we don't have a lot of space in these smaller parks as why. They're not, swings take, you don't, most people don't know this, but you have to have a fall surface around them that is immense. So you see the swing and then take that and put 40 feet on every side of it. And it's a lot. So that is part of it, is that we can't always fit, like Cochran Park, we could not fit a larger swing set in that. We barely got that swing set in that park. We were almost not able to put in all the equipment that we did in that park. So some of it is that, and those are more intended for someone who's not able to get themselves in and out of a swing. So if you have a child who's in a wheelchair and is non-mobile, the parent would lift the child into the swings, and that's what they're primarily designed for. Other people also use them for other things, but they're not really intended to be like climbing in and out of them. They're more for people that need to be assisted to get in and out of them. Yeah, so that's kind of what they're for, but I hear you.
I
Okay,
was
so-
gonna say too with Westbrook Park.
Yes.
I pulled it up on the map because I didn't know where it was. It's the topaz and jade and kind of getting towards Starlight Village type area, and I think I recognize it now that I see it on the map. I believe Westbrook Park is in kind of a depression too in the ground. Like it's
Yep.
so it would take more than just accessible. I don't know what the access is to it now. I've
I don't know how you get to it.
yeah, I don't know how you get to it, but if you replaced all the play area with accessible play equipment and there isn't access
You can't get to it.
because
Right.
it's down a hill or whatever, yeah.
Sure.
I'm just saying you don't want to look into that to make sure there's
Right.
not more than just the play equipment that would need altered.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think the park needs looked at again.
It has like a lot of flooding issues.
Right, and that kind of was the second part, and I have a note
So is there?
to talk to Public Works about it.
It does, but then the city takes care of it, but it's just not, it
It's like
Just a light
storm
rain will
drainage, but
easily
yeah.
flood it.
But in
Snow
the
floods
summertime, it's
it.
dry.
There's a little bit there, but I
Okay.
mean, it just kind of comes to a mud part. What kids are gonna go play in the mud and pack mud patties everywhere.
Nature play.
It's nature park.
Yeah, I love it. Okay, so again, I'm gonna talk to Public Works a little bit about that and kind of put some eyes on it. Make myself a note
Yeah,
here.
but it is true, just about every place in that park, you do have to go down.
It's very hard to get, it's hard to get down just walking with normal feet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Moving on to community parks. So I think we just have city park listed under community parks. So that's what I was talking about there with the master plan. That note was already there. Develop site master plan to include following improvements. I was here on the tail end of this master plan adoption, but I just started working here. And I do think that the master plan development should have been put on the short-term priority list, whereas we had some projects that got listed there. So I think it would be good to just prioritize that and get that going. We have a covered structure for the main play area. Every small community wants to have their play areas covered in Western Oregon. It's incredibly expensive. It's not really feasible for small communities. That's why you don't see them when you go to small communities. Sometimes you see them in very large cities, like in one park, where they have a tax base to fund that. They're just not generally prioritized because instead of having that big covered structure, you could put in, a lot of more play equipment for the kids to actually play on. And so it doesn't usually get prioritized. So our recommendation is to remove that project, but that it can still be on the list kind of going in to that master plan, facility master plan discussion, but it's just, there are too many projects on the city list to have that as as a project. In our opinion, it will either just never make it to the top or will get in the way of some of these other larger projects.
That's fair. I appreciate that because I was thinking like that's something we should consider, even not city park, but like as something for the city. And to like when we're looking at Skirvin and Mary's River, to consider if maybe those are alternatives or yeah, maybe it's not feasible at all.
Sure.
But yeah, I was gonna say for like this one, and 'cause I don't think it's in here, but there's been talk of the dog park, so I'd just
Mhm.
recommend that the master planning updates for these three big parks is to kind of consider where a dog park might
Mhm.
fit and
Yes. Yeah, and that is one of the points that I was going to make about the dog park. Yes. You're ahead of me. I love it. Okay, so we have again the skate park. I just put these as on hold to try to push through and get that facility master planning process going, to discuss some of these things. We have a couple projects that have been completed that were on the short-term priority list, so I've noted those. We do have another replace the main play area with an all abilities accessible park. Again, if that equipment's in good condition, is there a different place that would benefit from having that type of play equipment installed that would broaden where play equipment is available in the community versus just tearing out something that might still be perfectly good, and actually adding instead of just replacing? So those are kind of things to look at. What else do we have in here? Amphitheater, we put that as they consider removing for several reasons.
Yeah, and so I'm not sure about that. Why are we considering removing that?
Well, we already have a music facility at City Park, which is our gazebo and lawn. The location that this is being identified as has not been a suitable location really for anything. We've looked at it for a variety of things. It just stays too wet too much of the year. So it does dry out, but it's not reliably drying out. So you couldn't schedule a concert in June and know that you'd be able to use the amphitheater in June. And it's just, not a great use necessarily for that location. And again, there's already a music venue at City Park. So this is kind of it's one of those things where if the community really wants to prioritize an amphitheater, is that the place to do it? And Philomath, the soils here, and the bathtub nature of Philomath would make an amphitheater a little bit difficult, quite frankly, in most of the lower areas.
Aquatic empathy.
Yeah, so it's one of those things where I'm sure, I don't know who brought up the great idea. It's a great idea. People love amphitheaters and communities. They're a great draw, great community space. Is that necessarily where something like that should be? Is that a top priority? There's a lot of things on here. What are the top priorities? And maybe it moves up the priority list, but maybe we consider some other areas for it other than,
So
City Park.
Is there an area at Skirvin Park? It mentions Skirvin Park here, and I'm not sure.
So Skirvin Park has a full stage and sound and lights, and
So,
it's another music venue that's in a park is essentially why it's listed on there.
so Skirvin, and when you say Skirvin Park has a stage, that's not out on the road?
No.
That's the Frolic and Rodeo Grounds, right? Just
Frolic-
the
Frolic
stage
Trail.
back there at the beer garden.
Yeah, the stage that's near the enclosed area.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that gets used outside of the rodeo for events, right?
Yes. So the Rodeo Association leases the property, but it is the whole entire property. It does belong to the city property. The facilities are owned by the city. So, it's a potential of something that we could use and negotiate with them to use for other community events, and such. So just kind of noting that there's potential for kind of growing and expanding our options for music in the community.
I don't see this on the list, but I thought I remembered the mayor asking about exercise equipment too at City Park.
Yeah, so it was not on this list actually. So the old equipment that was there had to be decommissioned sort of after this plan. And so we decided to just prioritize that project and move ahead with it. It's been ordered, so it'll be installed next year. So that project's going to be completed, hopefully by the end of the fiscal year.
And I have a question that, I walked by there today, and there's some parking there where the old caretaker's place is. Is that gonna be improved at all, or is that gonna be kind of taken out? No?
That's gonna stay there, so the equipment will be on the other side of that.
Okay, so there will be some parking
Mhm.
access right in there.
Right near it. Yeah.
Wait,
Yes.
where is it gonna
At City Park, so right when you go into City Park, if you go to the left, I don't know if you
Oh,
were here when there used to be a manufactured home there, the park caretaker lived there. But it's just immediately to the left, there's a little gravel lot, and then just beyond that, before the creek is where the equipment would be.
Gotcha.
okay.
So
I didn't
we-
know they were moving it. I thought it was going to go in the same location as before.
Yeah, no, so you might have missed that particular
I
meeting,
probably did.
Tyler. We had the vendor came out actually and assessed the areas for us and gave us some pros and cons for where to locate it in the park. And that location seemed like it had the most pros. It's closer to the playground, closer to the bathrooms, all those things. So
Cool.
But another thing that came to mind as I walked around is the area that we used to have the exercise equipment might be a good location for a dog park,
I was just going to say that. Yeah.
because it's away from things and
Right.
Yeah.
barking dogs and all that stuff. So if that's still a priority of someone's, that's an area that could be used.
potentially. I would say the natural resources major in me would say it's pretty close to the creek. And I don't know that we would run all that waste washing into the creek. But that's kind of our issue with the dog park. We have issues with where would you locate a dog park? We have a very large park over here. Very large park behind us. Lots of people will go there with their dogs. It's
basically a
potential.
dog park.
It's basically a dog park. It's not just a dog park. Yeah, so, but that is one of the questions. Obviously, dog park is, you've heard from people have wandered in here, talked about dog park. You go out in the public, people talk about the dog park. Rose left saying, don't forget about the dog park. So I do think that, that's a question. I think there's enough people in the community that will probably at some point happen here. And it would be good to see, we have these large spaces, where do we want it? I mean, and the reality about City Park is it is our little, community park, but you start cramming too many things into that park and you really don't have any more open space to enjoy, just open space in the park. So that's kind of a question too, and that's what that assessment would do, is kind of assess what we have, where should we leave open spaces, where do we have room to put some more things that we want.
Because there is this area behind City Hall that goes all the way to the park.
Mhm.
Is not really earmarked for anything, right?
Yeah, they did. I think it was the Philomath revitalization plan, and they did do a little kind of study over adding some things here. I can try to dig that up and see whatever happened with that.
It's suggested in the plan somewhere to like extend that, but not as an action item, or to activate it all the way up to the building.
Yeah, so,
Yeah, let's put the dogs in the back here.
Plus, it's right next
Dogs
to the
are
police
already in the
station.
back.
So
I-
any disputes between dog owners can get handled very quickly with the police station next to it.
My office is the fun viewing area because I love dogs. Hear me shriek, oh, look at the dachshunds jumping through the grass, and everyone will run into my office. It's great. Couldn't pick a better office for me. Okay, so yes, we'll look at that.
About because we were talking about the creek, there's the replacement of the culverts. Is that like a
Yes.
regulatory thing, or are they really require?
It's in green. I've added that. That's a project that I believe I don't want to misquote it, but I'm pretty sure that the Marys River Watershed Council has gone after funding for that project to upsize those culverts. So that project it's in the works to happen. I just thought that it would be a good thing for us to identify, like if we know about it and it's happening, we should identify that.
Not cheap.
No, they're not. And I'm going to add the exercise equipment. Thank you, Chuck.
The trail along Newton Creek is on hold because it goes to nowhere, or?
No, hold for the facilities master plan. So again, just all of these things that are on here, it's just probably best for us to be on hold with them so that we could just transfer them over and discuss them with the park facility master plan for that particular park. Yeah. Okay, pocket parks. Dale Collins Park, again, a new project that was not in the park master plan, installing new technology reader board that is in progress, so.
Can you scroll
we're going
down
to
on
see that
your
soon.
screen? Sorry.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
Thank you
thanks.
for asking. And, oh, too far. There we go. Can you see that?
Oh yeah, thank you.
Maybe, I don't know if I'm far enough. There we go.
What is a technology reader board?
So there's a reader board. Have you driven, when you drive this way, on Applegate and you come to the little Y and there's a reader board there?
Yeah.
So it's outdated. We actually have to take a laptop out there and plug it into it to change the reader board. And the software for that is end of life. We've barely been able to get it to transfer to these new technology computers that we have. And we're told the last time, like, you're pretty much at the end, you better replace that. So we're going to replace it with one that you can do from like a computer here, not out there. And then they're going to build a new sign kind of around it that looks similar to the signs that they're putting in the parks, just to kind of be cohesive with the other parks. So yeah, that'll be nice. But it was a kind of a necessary project because we were going to lose our reader board, which we use a lot for community messaging.
go back to the ones where you just put the individual letters.
Yeah, yeah. It'll be similar to the one that's at the fire department. Yeah. Okay. Pioneer Park. So this one was a discussion between the city manager, because Pioneer Park is a very small park. It's off Pioneer. It's a little, kind of a little triangle. And I said, what, nature player, where did that come from? Like, where's that going? And I pulled it up and I looked at it and I said, like, over here in this grassy triangle that's right between the road and the fence for the railroad track. I wasn't sure. Where are we putting that? What was the vision there? And so he said, yeah, I think you'd have to remove something in the park to put that in. So then we were kind of discussing that. And what's nice about that park is it is sort of a little like walk-through loop, like almost if you're on a walk, that you kind of would detour and walk through there to get a little bit of nature and trees, and which is nice, has a little bench. And we were looking at it thinking, and I said, well, maybe that just needs removed. But then we looked and thought about what if there were some little, like the little logs that you can like kind of step between, or just something that kind of goes along the side of the path that's a little naturey. And I could imagine if I'm walking with my kindergartner and they're kind of, going off and doing that. So we left it on there to maybe look at something like that. I think the cost for the project was pretty high, and I think that it was intended to remove some part of that park and install something. But because Flossie Overman is over on that side of the community now, we kind of already have a nature play park where you can just get in and do your playtime. So that was the thought on that, was to kind of look at some other options.
Yeah. And once it's called like a play area, do you have to follow regulations? Like you can't just throw some logs down and.
Right. Yeah, so there's, the fall surface, so there are considerations, but I think there's probably some room there to do something creative.
If an offbeat or on point idea is to have an industrial play area, if we could get like a large piece of equipment to climb the train.
Yeah, yeah. The
That's a
city
whole-
manager actually was thinking that for City Park somewhere at some point to do something like that. Yeah. Yep. So, I think there's some potential there. Love anything. Okay, Triangle Park. So we did the project, replacing things, that's great. And there's also an ADA accessible path, which was listed as a project, which I think should remain as a project. And I kind of looked at it overhead, and I think you could do a path, like maybe something that comes from the road and brings you up to maybe the center where the play area is, and then paths between the new bigger play area and the basketball court, and then over to the little covered picnic area. So I think that's a good viable project that should be fairly affordable depending on what kind of surface you use, but yeah, like a good project. Okay, should we move on to Mayor's River Park? Mayor's River Park looks really similar to City Park. Again, this is kind of what I was talking about. We had a lot of things on here that are add accessible paths, connect things, improve this trail, decommission that trail. And it just feels very much like this should be more cohesive. Like we should have a map of here's what is going to be done, and here's phase one of the project, phase two. It just feels like that type of a project list. We had a couple, the picnic shelter, I crossed that off because we're about to replace the roof on that. So I'm not sure how it got identified as needing replaced entirely, but Public Works said it's in good condition, just needs a new roof. So
So is that
working on that.
now this fiscal year?
I feel like they said that they were doing it this fiscal year. It's possible they were budgeting for it for next fiscal year, but they're definitely working on that. Seating and trash cans, I know that was one of the priority projects, and I know that they've installed some benches there. I'm not sure where they're at with the trash and recycling, so I can check with them.
I can tell you I've got it on Google Maps right now, and I see trash cans parked out in the parking lot. Two of the flip lid big ones, the third one down by the bathroom.
Okay. And then What else do I have there? Oh, art. There's some art again on there that I thought would be good to refer to the Public Art Committee as a potential location for art. They're going to look at other areas and parks as well, but since it's been identified, it would be good to pass that on to them. So that's what I have to say about Mary's River Park. Anyone have anything else that they've been thinking about with Mary's River Park?
It just comes to mind that like it's hard to see very far through the parking areas, and that could be a concern. You know, there's a lot of blackberries growing up and other things like that. I know you can't obviously just clear cut down to the river, but maybe some more.
Well, that's not the park and parking areas. That's just places people go to park. So the only official parking area for Mary's River Park is the one over here. That's on the east side.
Okay.
So people do go down there.
So going down to the river is totally separate. It's not part of the park.
That is not technically
You're not
part of the
actually
park.
supposed to do that.
I don't know if you're not technically supposed to do it. Like the property is owned by the city. We own the water plant across the road. So we own a lot of the property, but it's not identified as this is Mary's River Park and these are like trails that we would maintain
Okay.
so it's kind of a,
Like there's
it's
that
off the
really
grid.
slippery slope that people cut steps into, and like if someone fell and got
Sure.
hurt there,
And
who would be liable?
It's
kind of thing.
it's a natural area. It's not a developed park. Yeah, it's not a developed park. So
Like the beach upstream.
But they have a bridge that goes
Just to
over.
get there.
that part is
So the bridge goes over
mhm.
and it stops and you have to go
On
down
9th Street.
to the river.
So it stops on 9th
Or-
Street, which 9th Street is a street, unimproved road. But if you get off of 9th Street, you're no longer on the unimproved 9th Street. It's a tricky area. It's almost every community that has a river through it has areas like that. They're just it's not part of our park. We're not inviting people to go down to the river. That's not the park. The park's over here. So valid point, but, and I did see that they had, one of the things on here says to natural service trail improvements and decommission user-created trails. So it's actually calling to like block all of those trails. And
Good luck.
good luck with that.
Yeah.
Right. So if we block the trails, there will be new ones, is my prediction. But yes. Okay, Reservoir Park. So, city manager said we should consider changing the name of Reservoir Park because there is not a reservoir there. It is not a reservoir park.
There's not much of a park there either, if we're being honest.
Yeah,
Great view.
right.
It is a great view.
The area looks pretty big on this map.
Good luck making Reservoir
part.
Park
Oh.
ADA accessible. That one's also,
Yeah,
Definitely.
it's pretty big. It's just steep.
yeah.
And there used to be a reservoir.
Yes, there used to be a reservoir there, which is why it was called that. I am
Reservoir.
passing that on for consideration, future consideration, park board, to name it something that has a more natural, less reservoir that's not there.
Really steep hill park.
Really steep hill
I
park.
like that.
There you go. We had the interpretive signage project on there. I kind of said, instead of the city's water system, like something more natural, like interpretive signage on like the watershed or our stormwater process or something,
Can you scroll
And-
down again? Sorry.
absolutely. Sorry again. Maybe I can scroll down. Okay, whoa. That's,
I think you have a second little scroll wheel on the inside. Yeah, there you go.
I'm just having issues with, I think the batteries are going dead in these things.
Ah.
It's just like not wanting to work.
Can we talk about the
Yes.
potential trail? Because it's very connected to Reservoir Park. And it's like, but
Yes.
I know the trails are at the end.
Thank you.
I looked at that one and,
I have a note about that.
yeah.
Yes,
Um,
you should. I remember you talking about it.
Yeah, well,
Talk about
it's HOA property.
Yes.
It might be a really nice like connector for people walking. I think, I don't know if it could get all the way to the main road. I know it's dotted out to the main road.
So if you look, we have a Parks and Trails Master Plan, future parks and recreation systems. Is
You
that,
mean going north from?
and shows
Yeah,
the trail.
Like, I don't know if it'll get the
I
neighborhood,
know,
but it would be a nice neighborhood trade.
you'd have to get some sort of easement because there's properties all the way
Yeah.
up that Kneebeck Field, but there's a lot of open space there.
Yeah,
I mean, it was planned for that.
and it looks like the HOA left that land there to be a trail.
Right, and so maybe they do, I don't know, that's something we should look at.
I think it's been discussed with the HOA, and I don't think that what I've noted, just from the update that I got, is that there's not any real desire for them to maintain that or do work to make that a possibility. So it's not a no, but I put it as a lower priority. I think there are other trails that we're going to see added before we see that added.
Okay.
So it's kind of on the list, but
But they're not opposed to having a trail kind of in their backyard, for the adjacent property owners.
yeah, we're not sure about that. I don't know that it's gotten that far. It's just gotten to the phase of there's a future trail and there hasn't been any real snowball on making that one happen. So it's on there. But like I said, I think there are some other trails that are probably going to be a higher priority or just will, just because of development that's happening around them will happen sooner. But
That would be
Yeah.
interesting to see if there is access there to the road,
Yeah,
if they had planned for that access.
yes. Okay. Yeah, Reservoir Park, I put completed, on the invasive vegetation tree thing.
Yes, so is that, did the Public Works go through and, because that was one of my concern is that they had, I mean, things were just kind of sprouting up everywhere. And so they've gone through and,
Well, you went out there too.
yeah, look, because in the short term, just in the master, they have $10,000 set aside for that, and I went out and looked and there wasn't $10,000 worth of work, really just like maintenance,
right,
trimming some vines growing up.
okay.
But yeah, and then I definitely agree, add to maintenance plan, and I think like
Mm-hmm.
a lot of my questions, I need to just talk to Public Works overall
Yeah.
about how they're approaching natural area maintenance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
That will be one of
Well, and
them.
you have to kind of rappel down that,
Yeah.
that slope there.
Oh, yeah, yeah, a lot of the ivy's holding the ground.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
holding, some of that stuff.
Yeah, and I just think that it's one of those things. Now, there are maintenance projects identified, like if you look at the big list up here, it'll say, I don't know if that one's identified as that, but there are some that are just identified as maintenance. But I assume that they have a maintenance plan that's not identified in this master plan as well, that they could add that to. Okay, you can still see. Great. Okay, linear parks, Newton Creek, linear park / Hunsaker bike path. That was just identified as maintenance. It didn't have anything specific, so I just noted to kind of, for our Public Works to assess that and maybe let us know what they see that's actually a project that we could put on here as a project versus just, here's some dollars for maintenance. I don't know if they have anything specifically, but I thought it would be worth putting something in there. So I will add that to my Ask Public Works list. Okay, special use sites, Cochrane Memorial Park, we completed that project, and it looks great. The only remaining thing was to install the covered picnic pavilion. And so I just thought that we should add that as a project so that we identify that that is a remaining project that's going to take some funding, and we're working on trying to make that happen. So we just listed it. Skirvin Park, same thing with the master plan. There are a number of things listed there. We did just complete the restroom with the first phase of the grandstands replacement. So there's a restroom there now.
That
Which
thing's
is great.
popular,
Yeah,
long line.
yes.
Which reminds me, on these smaller parks, Pioneer Park, Triangle Park, the Paul Cochran Park, has there been any discussion at all about putting, I know you're not gonna like this, porta potties there?
It's been discussed before,
I know it's a budgeted item and all that stuff,
Yeah.
but, I'm concerned about that.
yeah. I think if the park board as a majority wanted to make that recommendation, I could take it up the chain further. Public Works is really not interested in putting in porta potty facilities for a number of reasons. There's usually you have to shelter them somehow for one thing, then you create a space where people can hide and do things, and then the police department is not happy that they're there. They are restroom facilities. So it is a discussion, not just here, obviously.
Right.
There's a lot of communities that bat this topic around. But I think if it were something that, you know, a majority of you wanted to tackle as a, this is important, something that we think needs to happen, I can definitely pass that up the chain, and it will be in the minutes, Larry, so there you go.
All right.
Make sure Crystal put that in the minutes that Larry requested that.
I didn't request it
You're
necessarily,
concerned about it?
but it is a concern
Okay.
for those small parks.
Yes,
And the state identified it. It's like definitely, like
Yep.
you're saying, a trend.
right.
Of.
Installing restrooms, which is why we were able to get some grant funding to put those restrooms in at Scriven Park. So yes, I absolutely get the importance of having restroom facilities. I think it just needs to be identified as something that people think is a priority so that it can.
Well, like I live by both of those small parks, like the
Yeah.
park and the other one. And like my kids are older now, but when they were younger, they did have one time a porta potty over there in the triangle.
Uh-huh.
But I mean, there was bad usage from the apartments and stuff, and I understand what,
I think that's
get
what
it,
ends up
but being
happening
that I had the
sometimes.
kids, it was
Mhm.
very inconvenient.
Yes.
So I did
Haul everybody back.
to haul everyone back every time someone had to
Yes.
go to the bathroom back here. And there was other kids there, and they just didn't care. Everyone went to the bathroom everywhere.
Right,
Like, that's just
right.
what- And
Yes.
that was a normal thing to see in
Right.
those two parks. Those are the main parks that was at.
Yeah.
That everybody just went. I mean, it was thankfully like some people that live by those parks, they're like, oh, just go use my
Sure.
bathroom.
Yeah.
But that was
Yeah.
back, 15
Yes.
years ago.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure that it's still a
Yeah.
problem. Absolutely. Yes, I agree. Okay, so Cochrane, good, Skirvin. Again, there's another public art that would probably involve the Frolic folks as the entry gateway. We'd probably involve them in that. New park facilities. So these are parks that are identified again as potential.
Scroll down for me.
Thank you. What would I do without you, Tyler? Thanks
You'll
for
have to
not
figure it
leaving.
out because this is my last meeting. So.
Okay. You have to come back and play at the park.
There's still time to change your mind, Tyler.
We're there's still time.
Still, yeah, whatever, how many weeks there.
So busy life though, right?
I think my child ratio, I have
Yeah.
increased the amount of children I have by 200%
Right.
from when I
get
took
that.
this position. So.
Yes.
He's outnumbered now.
Yeah, he's outnumbered. Okay, new parks and facilities. So again, these are identified on the future parks and recreation sheet that I gave you in the map.
Yeah, so we're like number
they're identified.
one. Oh, is that,
No, they're identified.
is NP one?
Yeah, so that's neighborhood park 1.
So that says it's off.
Yeah, how precise are these locations?
I don't think that they're precise. They're in general areas where we know that there's property that will likely be annexed and will need a park.
So it's not that the city owns property
No.
there?
No,
On
This would be-
any of these?
no.
Okay.
NP2 is near Chapel Drive. Another one.
Is that the one that's going through some planning phases?
No,
Slowly. Summit.
no.
'Cause it says new community park, but then it says site P2 in 2016 plan. Well, this isn't the 2016.
Yeah, no, this is a newer plan, I think. Sorry, some of that is not referenced correctly. And I didn't make it green, but I added the new neighborhood park 3, which is not on the map, but it's up
Well, there is an
by
NP.
Melville Crest, which is at the very top left of the
There is an NP3 down here, but I think that's the
Oh.
mill pond.
Yeah, oh, I see. We just got some labeling issues here. Well, I did the NP3 thinking that I was following what was there, but I did not. So I'll make
And
Mill Pond
so-
NP4.
Where did you put your other NP3?
It's up
did you
by
say?
Melville Crescent
Oh, okay.
or whatever. It can be NP4. But anyway, those are the future identified neighborhood parks. So that when development happens in those areas, the developer will
Yeah.
have to install park.
And so you're saying the Melville Crescent one is slated?
Yes, yeah, that was part of a um planning project that has been approved in that area. That's my understanding.
So that one, the space for that one is approved, the Melville Circle one?
Yeah, they'll have to put in a park up there.
Okay.
Yeah,
And there is space left?
they have to, so
Okay.
they have to make space. Yeah.
That's NP1.
Well, no, it's a new one that I've added. Sorry, but the numbering's a little off because someone put Mill Pond Park
It's
into the neighborhood park.
NP Chelsea. is-
Yeah, it's MP Chelsea. But it's sort of it's like up in this corner. It's there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And the Mill Pond
Oh.
one, that keeps changing. Are they still gonna put it in?
Yeah, it's part of their development.
Okay.
Yep.
So yeah, the
For
idea
their
is they have
conditions
to
of approval.
Where do
That one is
It would be in that
It's,
area there
yeah,
where NP3 is, I think.
it's where MP3 is. I just disregard that I have MP. It's identified on that.
Just out in the field.
Do they have a timeline for that, or? Does this
Before
park board
their
get-
project's done,
Okay, does this park board
Yeah,
get
that
involved
one's-
with any
they
planning
already
on that?
did.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
it already came through the park board, went through planning commission, was changed, with planning commission. Yeah, so it's already been through here. At some point during that development, it will get built.
Just take time.
Okay, the downtown park, 14th and Main has been removed. The city council is, doing something different with that property.
Do we know what they're planning?
They are going to be they haven't yet fully discussed the project. Yeah, but it is identified on their strategic plan priority list for this year, fiscal year.
No revealing their ideas.
Well, if you watch the meetings, they do talk about
Oh,
some
okay.
ideas, yeah,
There.
yeah, but,
Not the short version.
I heard boutique hotel at one point.
I think they're looking for some kind of mixed use there. We're finishing the environmental cleanup of that property right now, so there's some tanks that need.
Had like a big amphitheater there.
I know.
Yeah. Live plays and.
Yeah,
We're talking 14th and Main right now.
yeah,
What the gravel lot where the car wash used to be?
yes, the city owns that property.
Oh, okay.
And when this project was done, I think this was kind of around the same time as the downtown revitalization plan project, which did identify that as a potential location for kind of like just like a community gathering sort of space / park, not so much a park, but more of like a community space. But they're going to look for something to be built there.
I thought it'd be the town square. But
Right, yeah, I think,
apparently that wasn't the
Yeah.
idea that they thought.
I think 13th Street has kind of been identified now as that community gathering space that can be shut down and used as a little hub in the downtown area, to have events and such. So.
I could see a Saturday market doing pretty well in that gravel lot right there.
Yeah, they've definitely would love to do that. They've expressed that multiple times, but
Mm.
yeah. I'm not sure what kind of mixed use they're looking at putting in there, but they do have, they're looking to increase low income housing in the community. We're working on hopefully proceeding with an agreement to build a low income housing near Dairy Queen, like across from the Arc on the 20th Street, I think it is.
It's also city property.
So the city owns that property as well and purchased that essentially for a project like that. So, yeah, they're kicking around ideas. So I've crossed that off. Yes, it's not viable. So we have new skate park facility listed here. It's kind of listed again, and the dog park. Again, those are great things to discuss, and those, what do we do with our larger parks, and, you know, get a little more on track with what we're doing in those parks. And then we do have the trails as well.
I'll just make one suggestion.
Yeah.
For the dog park. We
Yes.
can't really test this on a skate park, but, to try a temporary park in
Mhm.
these 3 locations, like
Mhm.
over the summer. It's just, it costs a bunch of fencing and moving and spreading the word about it. But that way you can sort of see like, okay, well, you already have that core Mary's Park group, but like, do people like using it? How does it work? Do neighbors complain about the noise? And you put it in Mary's Park for a month and then Skirving for a month and then City Park for a month and get some feedback.
Okay. Yeah.
Which you can't like temporarily build a skate park.
Yeah, that's not work so well. I mean,
And then also thought is like maybe a seasonality is a good idea for a dog park because in the winter then it can recover
Mm.
and it isn't a total mud pit.
Yeah,
People would like that.
Dogs love mud.
they do. Some of them do. Just a lot.
Tons and tons of hog fuel around here we can
Yeah,
throw
yeah.
down.
Yeah.
Okay, so in the trails, we kind of discussed those, but we've got the Neebec Hill Trails, kind of low priority because it's HOA and potentially private property dependent. The south, let me scroll down again.
Thank you.
Yeah. You didn't have to ask me this last time, now that we're on the last page, you can ask me. The South School Trail, we're kind of considering just a different path. Maybe the school district's not super interested in the placement of that pathway, but,
This is at the Philomath Elementary.
yeah. And there's potential to kind of connect the Mill Pond development, maybe up toward Public Works, which might be a better connection trail for that area anyway. So that's being looked at. Most of these are just kind of future development dependent. As we're seeing these developments, we're going to see more trails connecting the developments. And then we've crossed off the Triangle Park to Pioneer Park Rail with Trail project, which literally was next to the railway, which I don't know if any of you have ever worked with railroads, but it's very difficult. They're not knocking the railroad companies, but they like to hold to what they're doing. We'll just say that. And also obviously like risk and liability. It just, when we got out there and actually looked at what was proposed, it just wasn't very feasible. So we removed that one pretty early on as being just a non-feasible project. And then, yeah, there's some trails on here that could potentially be going through these areas in the future, but most of it's through private property. So it's really kind of dependent on those property owners wanting to have a trail or, kind of annexing to the city or, you know,
Yeah, so since
adding
that would
developments.
require easement and a lot of that kind of stuff, is there any way to get a head start on that and not wait for any development? Like at least have some easements in place for the pathway and not spend the money to build the pathway?
I mean, that would be a very expensive project to do where when this is annexed, the thought is eventually these properties are going to be annexed. Most people eventually will annex a property or develop what's already in the urban growth boundary. Eventually, they're going to be developed. Most properties are at some point. That's why I say it's future. You look around like the roundabout in Corvallis, that's a good example. That whole area is just open fields. Well, one of them, the trees have all been removed. At some point, that's going to be a development and they have to put in pathways around that whole development in order to put that development in. Then across the street, eventually that's going to be development. And that's when those things typically happen. We don't just typically at the city's expense that would just be for a small community like us, like financially out of reach to just put a path through an easement through private property that's not part of the development.
How did the Hunsaker bike path to Corvallis happen? I mean, that wasn't part of the development. wasn't it?
It's along that pathway. Well, it's
Yeah.
along the road, most of it. So that's why it's on right-of-ways, road right-of-ways. So you're just getting permission from county or ODOT or the city to have those next to, in your road right-of-way. Yeah, which is easier because they're public agencies versus private property owners.
What does the city think about, the capital and then the maintenance costs? Like, are we looking at not having to spend the money to build these and have it be part of the development? And then who's gonna be maintaining them?
Well, they'll become the city, so when the developments put that in, they turn it over to the city. So
Okay.
the city is looking at the lowest cost possible to get those things in place because they will be turned over to us and we will have to maintain them.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's just, this is one of those things that if we could build all of the parks and all of the trails and all of the connection, like almost everyone who works here would just is really into that and we'd love to. But those kind of are the things that you're looking to keep the costs down and that just increases the feasibility of being able to get those connections. But our mayor is very pro connectivity and walkability in the community and has been doing some work and trying to push the prioritization of projects like this. And that helps, right? Like if they move up to the council's top priority list, they can maybe get some funding allocated to them. So I think that we're in good shape. They're not in a community that just isn't concerned about that. Some communities, this is a very low priority, like, great, this is a list, it stays in our door, no one ever looks at it. We are frequently looking at this, we're frequently looking at potential future developments, how to add these things in. So it is very much on the forefront of our planning process here.
It's a great strategy. And that's what like large cities are doing and then developers want to tie their development into the trail system because it adds value.
Right. Yeah. And I think overall, like, that's what we hope to get to is that they want to develop there because it does become an asset, right? If you have a trail that's right off of your development that goes all the way into town, that's a huge asset. So yes, it will be great when these connect and get in place, and I'm excited to see some of them. I think, like I said, I think some of them are a little bit closer to being potentially there than some others, but yeah, I think they're great.
Does this align well with the transportation plan? I know there's another plan that kind of highlights corridors.
Mm-hmm.
And I wish we could sit here and compare them, but I just want to, make sure that this is in alignment with.
I think that they did look at both of those. I think they were updating that plan around the same time as this plan. It was right, I just got into work here, so to be honest, I wasn't part of the whole development part of it. I was just here when we kind of adopted this. But the trails were added, I think, for the first time to this particular plan.
Okay.
So this is kind of the first time that they were identified in the parks/trails master plan. Yeah.
One other thought I just had is, if the city has other easements, like sewer easements, that can be an option, at least in other places it's done, where
Right.
you can put a trail on your sewer easement.
Yep. Okay, any other things that you'd like to consider? Project related things, park related
I
things?
think the volunteer program, it's written all throughout the plan about volunteerism, but it's hard to kind of pin down an action item.
Yeah.
Do you have a updated on, I know you made progress on the volunteer program and basically is it pending projects or?
It's kind of pending
Development.
projects. We have a little list of volunteers. Most of them stepped up to do the flower basket watering, but a number of them did list other things as well. There's a little bit of a disconnect. So there have been a number of people who have applied, and then when I reach out to them to kind of ask questions to determine what what process I have to send them through. Like, are you driving? I'll have to do a, driving record check. I haven't heard back from people, so I've had a little bit of that going on. And then just, identifying projects. So I think that's the next step is just coming up with some of those projects that they could actually work on and getting Public Works looped into facilitating those projects. Yeah. But I think there are, there's some good projects when you talk about even just, let's go spread the fall surface, a playground. Usually there are people who they'll like to have a project like that that's identified, right? Like,
Yeah.
and then they know, oh, it's in my neighborhood. I'd love to go, like move some wheelbarrows this weekend and spread some, wood chips. So I think that's where we are. I think we've got a good start. It's in place. Now we just need to utilize volunteers better and spread the word and where we're at. Yeah. Okay.
Earlier towards
Well,
the beginning, you had mentioned going back to the skate park, that I think you said we just got a grant for something else, so we wanted to hold off on applying for grants. Or there was something there about like we just got one, so we don't want another one so soon. I just wanted to why? What's the problem with applying for more grants because I'm assuming, I mean, grants are going to be like, if it's anything else like government money, it's going to be a grant bucket for this specific type of project from this person. Like, I don't know. Could you tell me more about that?
Yeah, so we apply the primary grant that you apply for park projects is through Oregon Parks and Recreation. And they like to share the money, and we got an $800,000 grant, which is like about as
Ching.
much as you can get from them
Yeah.
for the Sherman Park project. And it would, like, quite frankly, we have limited staff time and it takes a lot of work to apply for a grant.
Okay.
And so it's more about that. Do we want to spend our staff time applying for a grant that there's a very little chance that we would get? It would be pretty much unheard of for them to award another large grant to any community. So we're trying to give a little bit of space so some other organizations can get some of those larger grants, and then we'll go back in.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so that's kind of why it's not, if we had like a bunch of different grants to pull from, it would be a different, and there are some small grants for skate parks, but they're definitely not anywhere near making
What
a
we would
ding in
deem.
the $800,000 price tag that's on the skate park.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay, cool.
yeah.
The question about, either hallucinated this or saw it in like meeting minutes, but is it Benton County Historical Society, that property museum, did they express interest in utilizing their lawn?
Yeah, so they were doing some kind of a master plan feasibility kind of process for their property. And one of the things that they identified that they would like to do is try to figure out a way to utilize the front lawn more for community events or just make it more usable rather than just kind of a rolling hill.
Yeah.
Empathy.
There you go. Looks like a good place for an amphitheater. Yes, but I think that they did identify some ideas for that, and I think it's just funding contingent.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely support that, and then like making sure it fits in here and we're not.
Right. And that's kind of why we're doing this visioning process. That's exactly why it's things like that, where if they're already thinking about, hey, we're going to put in this, and we didn't know that the museum was going to put in a skate park in their front lawn. Wow, well, we won't try to go for grant funding to put one in our park, Yeah. I mean, skating's been around for a while. It could be considered historic at this point, right? Get some of the old school, like, California bowls in there. Tyler's there, right?
Yeah, I don't want to take my son to Corvallis to go to the skate park, but I know I'm not taking him to Philomath, so it's
Well, we're still working on it, Tyler. We're still
yeah,
working
no.
on
I just rewatched that worst skate parks in
Oh,
America
yeah.
video from a couple years ago that we
Yeah.
front paged on. That was nice.
Yeah, we were famous.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to look that up. Okay, you've seen it.
Awesome.
Yeah, so that's wonderful.
Shredding.
Yeah, it's great.
It goes to show that the only people who can skate well in our skate park are professionals because they are that good.
Yeah,
Anyone else
yeah,
is
there you go.
severely limited. Yeah.
Okay, well, I don't have anything further.
All right, staff and board updates, nothing? Anything? So let's talk a little bit about the next meeting. We're not doing January. The next meeting, I think, should be the 3rd, because we haven't
February.
changed it yet.
Okay.
And by that time, will you have sent out, say,
Yeah.
park requests?
Yeah, that'll be this week.
Okay,
So
so
I'll
will
open
we
those
have
up this week.
information?
Yeah, I think
at
that's
that
when we
meeting?
chose before.
Okay,
I'm pretty sure that's when we looked at the information.
I can't, we
We
usually,
looked at it ahead of the meeting,
we
right?
We
usually.
did, but I think it was February that we chose. I'm not sure. I'll have to look back.
Usually have a meeting and.
We have a calendar. I just don't have it with me.
Somebody that really
Yeah, someone
organized the
just really
material.
organized that and really wanted to do
Yeah,
that
I
again.
He heard us talking about.
Yeah, but I have had actually bands reaching out to me that have not applied before, so somehow the word's getting out,
Really?
so, yeah.
So, again, I'm sorry, wasn't here last time, but that means, if I understood that correctly, that we really only have 4 sessions next year, plus the school.
Or,
Unless I misread it,
I think it's the school, we did one in June, 2
This
in
year we
July,
did
2 in
one in June,
August.
but I thought,
5.
it said not in June in the minutes. But maybe
We talked about cutting it back one.
I think just the one that was in September, but we decided to stay with the one in June because of the weather.
thought
I'm pretty
something.
sure. So I think that
I thought it was
equals
the
5,
opposite. I thought it was the opposite.
maybe. Well, I'll listen to it again.
Well, it says here, consensus was reached to eliminate the September concert and end the series with a late August, while not adding a June concert.
Yeah, we talked about potentially adding
But-
that on to the beginning of June. I
Okay,
think we decided
so-
not to.
So we're still gonna have a late June concert,
Think
2
we
in
decided
July,
that.
2 in August.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
I'll listen to it again, just to make sure.
That's right. I just wanted to clarify that. Other requests or things for the next agenda?
I will just put in our every Monday night dances are, we've got like 150, 160, 170 plus people coming every Monday night.
At the
That's great.
At the
Grange.
Grange.
That's crazy.
Very fun. Lots of really good dancing being attracted there, and
Cool.
people are coming from Eugene and
Wow,
Albany,
wow.
sometimes from Salem. Yeah,
Cool.
there's a handful of people coming up from Eugene.
And these dances,
You did it.
Did it.
Jamie.
Yeah.
these dances are what kind of dances?
It's line and swing.
Okay.
Yeah, like country swing. So, yeah, there's a lot more swing that's been coming into it. So, yeah, every week there's a line dance lesson and then also a swing lesson. We moved up to 6:30 and yeah, it's just great. Everybody has a great
Every
time.
Monday.
Every Monday.
Wow.
And good group of people. Haven't had any trouble. No, there's no alcohol, so that might help. But it's been really good.
I just wanted to close this project list up a little bit. So what I plan to do is kind of refresh this, try to turn it into an addendum. And then I'll look at whatever process we went through last time. I know it went to the city council, but I'll bring it back to you to kind of look at and say, yes, let's move that on to recommend to the city council. So we'll bring that project list back again for you to look at one more time.
Okay.
Question about the recommendations from park facility master plans.
Yes.
Would those be done in-house or contracted out?
We would hire someone to help. So I think I don't know about you all, but for me, I feel like the priorities should be those plans and that's what we should pass to the city council, is that we would like to see those budgeted for so that that could happen and we could get some of these projects identified as priorities or
Definitely.
less priorities or,
I look at the little parks, I'm like, that's easy, and then you get to the big list. and
yes.
I just can't.
Yeah, and that's some of it is just, it's time, right? That when you, like, we could do something on our own, but it would be a big time commitment and we couldn't expand on it as much as we can if we hire someone. So, yeah, so I'll bring that back and then you can formally recommend it to the city council. They are meeting, if I could even just get consensus that you all like that idea to recommend that to them.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So they're going to be doing their strategic planning in January. So what I'm gonna do is make sure that they know like that is the priority from the park board is that we look through that process and we'll try to get them to prioritize our time to do that next year and then get some budget behind it. Okay, all right. Well, thanks, everyone.
Okay.
And let's thank people who are not going to be here. again,
Yeah, well,
because that's-
first of all, we have,
Yes,
since I've been here, we have two new members.
Oh, yeah.
This is her first meeting.
Yasha.
And
Candy.
Candy, she's a veteran, this is her
Yeah.
second meeting.
Yeah.
Welcome to the two of you. Apparently, we're gonna have two more openings.
Yep.
Is that right?
Yeah,
Scott and Tyler,
yep.
you're up there.
Are, are any of those at-large openings?
Yes, Tyler is.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
That
I'm in
means
the ether.
Yeah,
a non-Philomath resident.
yeah.
Oh, actually,
Do they have to
yeah, we need to look at that.
resign?
Because you're outside
I'm
and you're outside,
Okay.
so I think they're both filled.
Okay.
Yeah,
So it has to be, the two people have to be inside?
I think so. I think so. Yasha,
Oh,
one of the
yeah.
only people that applied, so the council allowed Yasha to come in even though you were third.
Okay.
Yeah, I was inside city limits when I first joined in, but then I moved a year ago to still in Philomath, but not in city limits.
So what I would say is people can apply if they want to apply. If there were no other applicants or one of the applicants just looked really great, the council can override that decision and, so I don't want to discourage anyone from applying if you know someone. It's not that difficult to apply, so if they're interested, they should do it.
Right. Anyway, thank you.
Yeah,
Scott,
thank you,
Tyler.
Scott.
We'll miss you. Come by and see us.
Who should I bribe to keep getting to play music in the park every year?
Oh, you should fill out the application. Sign up for the notifications on the website under Park Advisory Board.
And if you'd like to
You'll get
help
notified.
in this.
If you ever want to help.
Yeah.
Just come on by.
All right. I'll make a
All right,
charitable
anything
donation.
else? Anything else from anybody else? This was a little longer meeting than we normally have at 7:04, but the good news is January, you get to rest.
Lots of good work. Thank you,
All
everyone,
right,
for
yeah,
your
thank you very
patience.
much. Adjourn that meeting at 7:04. So what do you do on your spare time?
Oh, all my